Hey friends, welcome to episode 2, season 2 of If They Knew, and it is a double hitter today. I am bringing you my chiropractors, two of my favorite people on planet Earth, my powerful, amazing, gifted, beautiful sister, Dr. Hali Banda, who serves with me at the Lighthouse Chiropractic here in Wichita, and the one, the only, my soulmate, my best friend, my husband, Dr. Joey Vrana, who we opened practice together about a decade ago, and they have been on this life and chiropractic and healing and up and down and all around life adventure alongside me. And I felt that it was important as we brought the podcast back that we started from the inside out, and you got to know the people on this dream team. And I'm asking them today, what's the big idea and how do you live it? What does the above, down, inside out power that made the body heals the body, expect miracles when it comes to your health and happiness lifestyle look like for your families? So ready for some real and raw talk with Dr. Hali and Dr. Joey. Here we go. Hey everybody, it is Dr. Devin
and Dr. Hali.
And we are back with season 2 of If They Knew and the launch of the Big Idea Network. And I am inviting my chiropractors, Dr. Joey and Dr. Hali, to chat through what the heck is the big idea. Mm-hmm. When I say, what's the big idea, what's your answer?
Well, immediately the poem comes to mind, so I do hope you share that at some point. Mm-hmm. But the big idea to me is that the innate wisdom within us, within you, is greater than you've been permitted to believe. So it's the body heals itself. It's the power is in you. It is, how do we tap into the power that we do have within to self-heal and self-regulate?
Now, when did you get the big idea?
Mm-hmm. I would say, early on when I first started working for Dr. Devin and Dr. Joe at Vrana Chiropractic in Goddard, I was pretty on fire, and I still am, about chiropractic. But man, after the first time I went to Focus, OKC with Dr. Tim Young, it just was completely mind-blowing. He does a phenomenal job of bringing the principles and philosophy of chiropractic to the masses, and just really inspiring and firing up the profession to inspire and let others know what the big idea is.
Yeah, and I think most chiropractic offices, not to just blanket stamp them all, but a lot of people focus on delivering adjustments.
Sure.
Can you talk to the importance of people can come in and they can get adjusted and they can heal. They're going to.
Right.
Miracles are always possible. They're going to feel better even. But what's the difference between the people that start to really believe in that innate wisdom, when they start to get this idea that mm-hmm. they have power in them mm-hmm. and it's always working for them? Mm-hmm. How does health and the game change?
Yeah. So, I have a few cases kind of come to mind, and I will tell people, 99% of time, back pain, neck pain, headaches, symptoms are what bring people through our doors. Mm-hmm. But I would say that as people start to experience the relief, and it's not us, it's not the chiropractors that are doing the healing for them. We're removing the interference, and it's when we use that type of language that I feel like people really start to get it and go, hey, I know, I'm sleeping better. Do you think that this could be related, or I don't know what you're doing, but my cycles are more normal than ever. And that's when we start to have that conversation of, all I'm doing is removing that nerve interference so that your body can function like it was supposed to. So we get a lot of times we get common and normal mixed up. And
write that down.
Yeah. Folks, consider multiple headaches a week to be normal. That's not normal. It's common. It's not normal.
So much to unpack there, but I do want to highlight something you said, that it does, as a side note to healthcare practitioners and particularly maybe chiropractors, does it start with the chiropractor? and their approach and their intention with, moving a bone and providing pain relief versus like what you were saying, that there's a bigness here and the chiropractor's not taking credit. There's a wisdom. Like, do you think that's important to the chiropractors who might be listening out here?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, we go through school to pass tests, to, pass boards, and to be able to, gain licensure. But I think that events like Focus, events like the Big Idea, are where we really start to figure out where our hearts are at as chiropractors. I think it's imperative that you seek things like the Big Idea to set yourself on fire as a chiropractor, because man, school, I'm not trying to dog on it too much here, but gosh, it really will kind of take the wind out of your sails and teach you, kind of the opposite of what the world needs right now, which is it's in here, So I don't think that, one thing that you've told me is take no credit.
Take no blame.
Take no blame. So, we're not taking credit for people getting well, but it is important for us to realize that folks don't know what we know. So we do have a responsibility to bring the Big Idea, bring these concepts to them in such a way that meets them kind of where they're at. So no, it's not just in the adjustment. It's not just in, the way we talk about subluxation, but where's your heart at?
Yeah. And
where's your
intention.
philosophy? Yeah.
And as the no credit, no blame, that to give that back to Dr. Brent Hendon, I mean, it's the humility that we work with the power. I'll use God. I know you would, that we are instruments, and that the healing wisdom is in the patient. And so, in the results, there's also an accountability, right? Of like, if you're eating like crap and not, drinking enough good water and moving your body, and then coming in to us or to any practitioner and saying, fix me. That's just not what we do at the Lighthouse. There is a level of like, we're going to serve you with everything that we've got, and we take full responsibility to do our part to show up and to get what you're after, to get the most out of life and health. Like,
yeah, and I think that's a great life lesson as well. I think that all too often we outsource, and we expect something external to be the fix, or even like we rely on labs and testing to give us like that answer. And a lot of times it's just not, it's a little bit more complex than that. But as we get closer to the truth, the lessons become more simple. And I think that I just think that chiropractic is a true testament to that.
And so if we rapid fire, the title of the podcast is If They Knew, right? Because whenever we like go to shut up for the day or for the week, we always kind of wish like we could give them a little bit, if they just knew how powerful they were, if they just knew about birth, if they just knew about, these different things. What are a couple of those things that have changed the game for your kids, your family, like the way you run your home?
Yeah, I would say, kind of on a broad scale, intervention is not as necessary. And to just kind of dive into that a little bit further, when my kids get sick, when they have a fever, I'm not loading them up on Tylenol. Of course I'm monitoring it and I'm watching their behavior.
Bigger than that. It's like you don't feel the need to, like you said, intervene. You're witnessing an inborn intelligent do what it's designed to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So even your perspective, it's not even in our reaction. It is in the way we perceive what's even happening.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like I talk a lot about like sickness and dis-ease, and that being, pain is sometimes a tough teacher, but, it does provide helpful lessons. So even, pain and dis-ease and sickness and things like that are a good demonstration of, how innate works and the wisdom that we have within. But I would say, in our lifestyle, we do our best to read labels and think about what we're putting into our body. And I do think that there's kind of like, we have to live in this world.
Toxicity is not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. And so I think there's a point that you can kind of drive yourself crazy watching every little thing. But I do think there are practical measures that you can take, like, eating whole foods, fruits and vegetables. My kids just, they've never rejected fruits and vegetables because that's just always been like a staple, and I think I've learned a lot from you and Joey just in like, they'll eat what you give them. So
they don't pay for groceries.
Right.
Not in my house.
Yeah.
Anyway. If you guys as kids pay for groceries, send us your tips.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just kind of setting the tone for how we approach health and wellness in our household is, be proactive and do, those simple things that we can control, eating good foods, drinking plenty of water, getting good rest, and know that when your body expresses symptoms or dis-ease, that there are ways to cope with it and support yourself in such a way that's not, a Band-Aid or masking.
Or harmful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really, guys, you got to go watch Dr. Hali's share from this year's Big Idea and the very first Big Idea. It was really great.
I gotta watch.
And 2019, this woman gets up on stage and she lights us up every single time. Specifically about this year, though, if you if we eagle view, you don't just apply this to your body and your health, but dis-ease in relationships. I mean, you vulnerably shared, the way that you apply this, like patience and wisdom and God, the importance, like the A, right? The whole focus of the network this month is ADIO.
Yeah.
Above, down, inside out. And we can talk a lot about what we put in our bodies, but it's all self-centered. We got to get this conversation back to like whatever you prefer. We'll call God into the conversation here. Like, how important is your interconnectedness conversation with God?
Yeah, I mean, it's everything. So I feel like, and you can go back and watch my Big Idea share, but it was not until I really established that relationship with God. And sometimes it takes a crisis of belief and it takes really painful experiences for us to get to know God and get to know the power from which we were created. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the foundation through which we live our life.
And run your home.
Absolutely.
And engage in your marriage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all relationships. I mean, like it's such an inspiration to, and I know Life Church is really important to you. So I want to highlight some of these things that we don't sit up here and say, we have all of the answers. Actually, like one of my favorite shares from Pastor Craig here recently is, I am strong when I am weak. It's like in those weak times, in the pain, like, can we become a culture that actually leans into pain instead of constantly tries to numb it and run away from it?
Right.
And in that bravery and in that trust that it's happening for a reason.
Right.
What's that world look like?
Yeah. Well, I think that I had a really powerful conversation with a practice member this morning about submission and being vulnerable. And she shared something really beautiful about the shepherd breaks the legs of the lamb. I'm going to butcher this, but breaks the legs of the lamb in order for it, in order to have it submit, or in order to help it. So I'm sorry if I kind of butchered that, but the way that she and I had that conversation about, I know that what's coming is going to be painful, and I'm experiencing a lot of stress right now, and I know that the Lord has something better for me on the other side of it. It's really hard to trust, but just know that you're not alone when you are going through hard times. We support people all the time. Like I said, neck pain, back pain, 99% of the time, what brings people through our doors. But if you've been adjusted by Dr. D, she goes a lot deeper than that. And I have people all the time that are like, she just like sees right through to my soul, and that's a gift, man. And it's just, and I know that you give all the power to God, to innate, because that's what is, that's your truth, and that's what's flowing through you. But,
and we came by that through fire together in what we watched our mother go through. Our uncle passed on hospice in our home, and a few short years later, we watched our mom. We held her hand as she took her last breath, and those were not easy times to navigate. And it is in that breaking that you throw up your hands and go, "What in the hell was that about?" But guys, there wouldn't be a big idea, I don't think, at all,
right,
if there wouldn't have been the opportunity to watch my mom go first and go and travel through that fire. And thank God we have each other.
Right.
And the Lighthouse. And, it's an honor to get to practice with you. She has 5 kids. I have 5 kids. We are in our own season of fire of sorts. And again, it's like we humbly step to this microphone and to the table really just to open spaces and to say, like, we may not have it all together, but together we can have it all.
Yeah.
And she's going to be coming back, throughout our journey here on the podcast, talking about lots of different things. Guys, I'm bringing pictures and videos. Next episode, we're talking birth. We are talking prenatal, postpartum. She is the birth goddess. I've never seen and been a part. I mean, my birth did not go that way. She was
Well,
there. No, don't even.
Magnolia's was pretty
It
good.
was great. Yeah.
I mean, they were all great, too.
They're all great. They're all
Yeah.
how they're supposed to be. But this, man, and I just to get to share that. I mean, to women. So we're on a mission. There's a lot to unpack. And I think as we just accept the assignment of we're just going to have this journey with you, one conversation at a time. Anything to part that you want to share with whoever might be on the other side of the camera?
Yeah, it's on my heart to share with you that you can do hard things and you don't have to hide from it. And on the other side of the fire might be paradise. So you don't have to go through it alone. You can do hard things, and there are powerful lessons in the pain. Boom.
Bam. We're just going to leave that there. We'll see you at the Lighthouse. We'll see you in the Big Idea Network. And guys, you're powerful beyond all measure. And don't ever forget it. We love you. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys, it is Dr. Devin.
And Dr. Joey.
And we are here for season 2 of the If They Knew podcast, where we are launching the Big Idea Network. And it brings up probably the most popular question: what's the big idea? So if I ask you, Dr. Joe, you're wearing a Big Idea shirt, I like that. What's the big idea?
The big idea to me is just understanding that health is absolutely something you can control, and that it's not someone else's job. It's an inside job.
Now, the Big Idea is a chiropractic poem that we both really liked. And when we started an event a few years ago, the mission was health and empowerment, which is what you just said, right? That no matter what's going on with your health, with your kids' health, you can do something about it. Now, when did you get the Big Idea? When did you start to learn this and implement it in your life?
Probably when my dad had cancer. It was definitely one of those eye-opening things that I was watching, that he wasn't making any changes to be more healthy. He was just wanting them to fix his diagnosis or his problem. And I was, 19 or 20 years old at the time, and it just didn't make sense to me that he wasn't making some kind of health changes, quitting smoking, eating better, starting to do a little exercise, anything. It was just like, well, the doctors are working on it. I'm going to continue to do all the things that clearly probably got him in that, condition in the first place.
Been a little bit of a maddening road, really, for both of us to witness multiple family members and patients who go through cancer diagnosis, all kinds of, or even for that matter, people who have, say, sciatica. but keep kind of doing the things that, or when we say, hey, yes, I can adjust you, yes, I can help, but the big idea is this is a two-way street. You're going to have to
Help me help you.
Exactly. So like, what are some of those foundational things like that you're like, man, I wish more of my patients knew this, or I wish my dad would have known this. Like, what are some of those things that you think are the simple game changers that someone on the other side of this screen right now could go do today to not end up down that road and to claim that power for their health and outcomes?
Number one would be exercise.
Move the body.
Move the body.
How important is that?
A 10.
A 10. How do you incorporate that? I mean, you got 5 kids, business, like kind of a big deal. How do you make time for the people? But really, it's a real thing. It's like they say, I don't have time. What do you say?
Well, for 2 years, when we had our second set of twins, I used that for an excuse of why I could not work out because, I have 2 sets of twins. Nobody had that excuse. Nobody could beat that.
The one-upper.
Like, everyone was like, well, that's a good point. Maybe you don't have time.
Okay.
And my energy was down. I didn't feel great. And so finally, I switched that in my mind to they were my reason why I work out. And so since that's shifted, it's made it a lot easier. It doesn't make it easy.
Right.
It's not something that like I'm just raring and tearing to go to the gym 5 or 7 days a week, but 4 or 5 times a week I like to move my body, break a sweat, and
Yeah. And so what else besides moving your body? And that in and of itself, right? If we just pat Dr. Joey on the back right now, it breaks a generational pattern, right? You watched your dad and you learned what I don't want to do. Now you're shifting it, but you mentioned a few other things that like I get to witness every day, but that I think it's important to speak to the parents of how big it is. Okay, you got to move your body. What else do you got to do in order to show your kids a better way?
you have to try to eat healthy.
What's that mean?
If it comes from the earth, if it comes from the ground, if it
Has life.
has life, it gives you life. And if it is in a box and it's processed and can sit in your pantry for 2 months or however long and not go bad, then it's probably not good for you.
And is your diet perfect?
No.
And so it's a process in and of itself.
Sure.
Right? How hard would you say it is to like beat some of those things? Like, I mean, like what are some of the tips that work? I think of James Chestnut, but I want to hear it from you because, like how, like if you crave those bad things, what do you do to not go for it?
Like if you're somebody who likes pop, I would suggest drinking the same amount of water before you get the pop. It's not that you can't have the pop. It's like, rather than like this, you can't ever do anything bad. It's just trying to incorporate the good things before you get the reward or whatever that is.
Right. And with the kids, what if they're like, but I want the Cheetos, I want the like things. Like, what do you do?
Eat your vegetables first.
So you still give it to them.
We have 5 kids. They still, nobody's perfect. I mean, you could have the cleanest diet in America and someone could come in and show you where you're not doing it as perfectly as you could. There's always something you could do better. But not trying is what gets a lot of people in the mess. It's kind of like, well, my leg's broken. I'm paralyzed. Like whatever the reason is. I have 2 sets of twins. Those are all legitimate reasons why
It's expensive to buy organic vegetables. I mean, like that is a real thing to,
But you can still do bicep curls. You can still go for, okay, well, you can't run. Mm-hmm. Well, then walk around the block 3 times a day. Like do something, move something. Try to pick one meal a day that you do better at. That's like, that's my meal that I'm going to try and like eat healthy at to start with. If I eat sugar in the morning, if I put creamer in my coffee, I crave sugar throughout the day. Mm-hmm. So if I set myself up in the morning with sugar, it's coming at lunch and it's coming at dinner and it's coming at bedtime.
Well, and I like the James Chestnut quote that I was thinking of is just like, you don't bring the devil in the house. Like you don't create the battle in the first place. So sometimes we'll go rounds because we're not always on the same page. Are we always on the same page? And so it's like, it's sometimes, you just don't have the discussion if you don't buy the groceries that get you in that, discussion in the first place. Sometimes it is a teamwork to say like, we as a family are going to drink more water and we're going to cut the Gatorade out. But instead of arguing with you about Gatorade, if I just don't buy it, it's not even an option for you to ask for it. So we move your body. You eat better, more alive foods is what I heard you say. And then mixed in there just by default, you are really good at giving grace, right? And it's progress, not perfection. And how important, like if you're looking through the screen talking to a patient of yours right now that's like, I know I should. I know, they like kind of beat themselves up for not doing those things. What do you say to them about, just doing better, doing a little bit better every day? How important is that?
It's key, 100%.
And how do you stay that track when you get down on yourself?
You make a good decision the next time. You give yourself the grace and you don't beat yourself up too much. And
I think my husband is really good at intentional amnesia. And I mean that, like, I'm jealous because like I hang on and I will like be overly critical of myself, and man, I wish I would have, and like hang on to things that I'm not doing as much, where he's really good at like, I'll do better next time, like, but how do you?
You can't do that every time though. Like,
So we're getting yang, like where
that's great.
there's a push for.
Yes, I'm okay at saying like I'll do better next time, but then you really have to do better next time.
Right. Follow
Like,
through. Massive action.
Yes, and so like if someone has days of the week they don't eat as good, but on days you work, you can take your lunch and pack a salad. Or one of my buddies lost 30 or 40 pounds. He just started taking just a sandwich at lunch every day. That was his lunch, was just a sandwich. Rather than going out to eat or whatever, that was the only change he made. He might have quit pop, but the main change for like a 2-year period, I saw him, he was like down 40 pounds. I said, what are you doing? He's like, I just take a sandwich at lunch.
And it's
That's
simple.
it. I eat my sandwich and that's my lunch and I move on with my day.
And pick something that you can win, because neurologically, like we want to feel like we're a success, not a failure. Nobody likes feeling like they're failing at those things. So like you said about pop, like drink the water first, and then like, and for God's sake, diet pop. Can we talk about diet pop for a second? I know I have a lot of people that come in with headaches and stuff, but like there are some things that's like, guys, by now in 2022, we know like that's bad. Like, don't do that. Like, but when you have those like really stuck cravings, any words of advice? I know you help a lot of people with smoking cessation, and you're really passionate about helping them quit the shit because of what you watched your dad go through. Like, look at him and speak that little bit of fire of like, what do people need to hear when they're trying to quit something hard?
You got to have a reason why. You got to put pictures of your kids up. You got to make it bigger than the here and now. It's bigger than the here and now. You're setting yourself up for major health issues when you're older. The
repercussions just, we can't
it's hard
unsee
to
what we.
unwind 20 years of bad dieting or bad habits, and the wish I would have, could have, should have.
Now, the other key component to health and happiness in our house is chiropractic. So when we talk about, this big idea about it, health and empowerment, and that you have, ability to heal and thrive through anything, how big is chiropractic a game changer for people?
You're working with your nervous system. We're making you vibrate at a higher level. Like, can people live without chiropractic care? I tell them all the time, sure you can. You can live without fruits and vegetables for a while. But are you going to vibrate at the highest level possible? You're like living in black and white TV as opposed to HD TV. Like, when your nervous system is tuned up and you don't have interference in your spine, everything in your body's changed. You heal from everything better. I don't care what your diagnosis is, what you have going on. If you have interference in your nervous system, your body is not healing at the optimal level it could be.
Yep. And for kids, I know you're also really passionate about taking care of athletes and babies and kids in your chiropractic practice. Like, for people who don't know, like, that kids can get adjusted at all, like, why should babies and kids get adjusted?
To prevent going to the hospital. We've got 2 sets of twins that have never been on antibiotic. That's crazy. 11-year-olds and 6-year-olds, like, yes, they get sick, but we get them adjusted and move past it.
And that, you look at, my mom passed with cancer in 2016. Your dad passed in 2009. So there's the generation ahead of us. Then there's us. We're kind of this bridge that says, F that. Like, we don't, like that, not that for me, but more importantly, not that for them. Like, I want to see my grandkids. I want to grow old. So now, what I love about chiropractic and the big idea for kids is that they're growing up believing that their body knows how to heal itself. And then when they have a cough or diarrhea, like, it's not fun, but they're expressing health. They're not sick. They're not broken. And what do you think that will mean for the future generations of our family? Just instill being a bridge of like, no, I'm not going to play the victim road. I'm not going to make those bad health decisions. I'm going to do better, and I'm going to teach my kids better, and that they can take a natural road. What do you think that means for our legacy a couple generations from now? Hopefully.
It's hard for it to play. I know it's going to be better. Like, do you know how much better? Do you know if a kid's still going to get sick or not? No, but a lot of people come in the office like, well, my father has heart disease, has heart issues. Oh, yeah. My father had cancer and died at 53. And I'll tell you that if I exercise and I eat right and I take care of myself, my risk factors are not the same. Like, I don't care what genes I have in my body or what DNA that God gifted me from him. It's not the same thing. So it's not just coming for me. Heart disease is not just coming for me at 53. I'm not drinking 8 Dr. Peppers a day and drinking and eating red meat every night and not exercising and smoking cigarettes. You add up all those things and being overweight, instantly the game has changed. So, I mean, for patients or people that come in and they're like, well, my grandma had this issue. So, like, subconsciously, like, well, it's probably just going to happen to me. If you're leading a different life, if you're leading a better lifestyle, that's not the case.
That's it. That's it. And any parting, guys, Dr. Joey is going to be a regular here on the podcast, bringing him and Dr. Hali in. They're my chiropractors. There's the ones that keep me tuned up and shining bright. And so I'm going to bring them in to talk about all topics. So what's the big idea? We're going to talk about marriage. We're going to talk about our journey with homeschool and unschool. We're going to talk about the things that go well and the things that don't and how we navigate that. Any parting words of wisdom today? Turning from, into the fall of 2022. Now we're a couple years into everything, that we've seen unfold with COVID, but like any last virtual adjustment from Dr. Joey to the Big Idea Network?
Move your body, get adjusted, eat better every day. And the one thing we didn't cover was water. Try and find good water source. Try and find natural spring water. Try and drink good water. And when you can, choose water.
Perfect. I love you said that, because you guys can go to Veda and Dr. Andy Kaufman's talk from this year's Big Idea 2022. Go watch those talks. If there's one thing that you could go do today, it's water. And it's not just how much, it's what kind. And that's been big in our house. So we love you. We will see you next time. Well, what did you think? I hope that you enjoyed this double hitter episode and your time here with Dr. Hali, Dr. Joey, and myself as much as I have. I have known them both for a long time, and yet every time I get to sit down behind this microphone and interview them, I learn something new. I hope that the words of love and encouragement landed inside of you and planted a seed, helped shine a little light into the dark, because our goal here at the Lighthouse, at Vrana Chiropractic and Acupuncture, at the Big Idea, is just that, to help be a little bit of light along the way, to help support, to gift a few tips and tools that have served us that might serve you as well. So if you know somebody that could benefit from today's episode, please share it forward onto them. And if you have questions, ideas, or maybe you have a story that you want to tell and you want to come be one of my guests here on If They Knew, please share your thoughts in the comments, share your questions in the comments, and don't ever hesitate to reach out, because we are truly here for you. I'll see you next time.